Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday, August 5th, and here's our buoy tent update for today. As I mentioned yesterday, went back out in the ocean. I think I'm going to have maybe probably 2 more days out there for a couple reasons. One, because the tides are just starting to get smaller, and the Chinook bite should get better in the river here over the next couple of days. I think probably by Wednesday or Thursday, the Chinook bite should be pretty good in the river, and probably for the next week, the fishing should be quite nice in the river. But I'm going to try and keep going out in the ocean as much as I can because the fishing has just been really good. And what's even cooler is that today we actually had some Chinook show up. And we ended up getting 3 nice kings, and all 3 of them were on that white spinner. So I started out in the ocean down south a ways and down by the weather buoy. And it's just because it was that max ebb, we had northwest wind. I don't want to have to deal with the green line. If it wasn't like that, I probably would have gone to the green line or even up towards the lighthouse like I did yesterday. But we got out there, got a king right away, and then nothing. Started to have to keep looking around, see if we could find some fish, and landed on a good group. But what was interesting is that this was probably the most amount of fish I had seen in my active target all season out there. I mean, I literally would have 20 fish, like 3 fish per rod, looking at the spinner, looking at the spinning fish, and they wouldn't bite. They're all swimming with it, like their nose on the lure, on the hooks, and they wouldn't go. So I tried doing a crazy Ivan's, turning left, turning right, speeding up, slowing down. None of that really seemed to matter. Tried changing colors and scents and everything else. They just decided to go whenever they decided to go. It was totally random. So it was good. We just kind of kept picking away at them. This is probably the most amount of wild fish that I'd seen so far this season. But again, we found some kings, which was excellent. I'm very happy that we're starting to see some kings, but south as opposed to north, which is not typical. So I'm kind of getting reset here for tomorrow, and I'm working on getting my gear squared away here. And what I noticed today is that we start off doing really good on spinning fish, but as the day wore on, it kind of switched over to spinners. And so what I'm going to do here now, I already put all my spinning fish back on. Probably my best one, Misty River, was kind of cold today. It was very frustrating. But what I'm going to do this afternoon here as I'm getting ready is get all my leaders tied up for a few more spinners because I got 20 spinning fish ready, but I only have maybe 5 or 6 spinners. So I'm going to do another half dozen so that way I'm prepared if the same thing happens again here tomorrow. So what I wanted to do is I kind of set it all up here, and I wanted to show you guys what I'm doing and going through the gear here just a little bit and how I'm putting it together so that way I can show you how I do it. It's just kind of all broken down into pieces right now because I haven't tied them up. But what I'll do is probably in tomorrow's update, I'll show you guys one of them completely tied up. But this just kind of gives you an idea of how I put them together. So with that, let's spin the camera around and I'll show you what I'm looking at. Okay. Alrighty. So these are the 6 that I'm going to put out there here today. Or excuse me, tomorrow. I'm going to tie them up here today and get them ready for tomorrow. So these are those 2-aught dual dancing stingers. And I pre-pinch all the barbs. I'm going to need to get that one a little bit more right there. But pre-pinch all the barbs. Yeah, that guy needs to be re-pinched. So that way when I'm out there in the heat of battle, I'm ready to go. And I don't have to worry about or forget that I haven't pinched them. And then I'm going to go with 3 colors that have a lot of paint on them and a lot of red, a lot of orange, a little splash of chartreuse for contrast. And then 3 with the pink and white, red and white look to them. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of tinsel skirt too. These fish, for the most part, when I'm catching them, they're spitting up candlefish. And so I'm going to go with a little bit of tinsel for a little bit more flash. And then I mentioned them too. These little baby hoochies here from Fishfield are just absolutely perfect. And actually, these 2 guys down here, I'll pull them aside real quick. These 2 guys down here are probably 2 of my favorites just because they're perfect for, like, with Mexican hat. But because I've been catching a lot of fish on the white, I got my clear pink, and it's almost like a mother of pearl white on these 2 here. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I got some custom YBC Hildebrand blades, and then these are just the Mulkey 3.5s. And then again, just Mulkey 3.5s down here too. So Mexican hat, chartreuse dot red, and I can't remember what Jared named that one. But a little bit of different color beads for each and every single one of them. This guy here's got a bit more contrast, a little bit of sparkle bead, a little more neon, some metallic, mother of pearl, and then just straight red. So a little bit of mix of everything. Then I run the plastic stirrup clevises. You get the little bit larger size, even though the smaller size, I think they're called size 3s. These size 4s are a little bit better. I hate losing $3-4 blades. These ones I just get from Lured, but Yakima Bait has them. You can find them, I think VIP sells them too. But you just want to get a little bit bigger size clevis, just because these fish, when they bite, tend to break them. So what I'm doing is I'm tying them up on 40-pound Ultra Green. You don't need to get too fancy. Ultra Green is just freaking bulletproof. You don't have to change leaders too often. You can go through a lot of fish. And that 40-pound is perfect because if I have to hand line them, I can just wrap my hand around the 40-pound, almost like marlin fishing, and just yard sail those coho into the boat if need be. So 40-pound Ultra Green, I take that, tie it to my 2-aught dual dancing stinger, and cut off about 36 inches of line. And then what I'll do is I will slide on the tinsel skirt first, and then the hoochie, 2 beads, and then little tiny bearing beads. See how small they are. Little tiny bearing beads, clevis with the blade, and then tie on my swivel on the end. Now what I've been doing for leader length, my bumper lengths are all over the place. I got them from 22 to 28 inches, but my leader lengths, I've been keeping them right around 24 to 28 inches, and it hasn't really seemed to matter. Flip it back around here. So it really hasn't seemed to matter what bumper length or leader length, because like today, it was totally random. I had 6 different colors out there. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Just all of a sudden, fish would decide to click on. I'd have fish swim through my gear and look at every single lure, and then just decide to swim off. And sometimes they'd look at one, move over to that one, and oh, hey, I like that one better, and go hit that. So I like having a little bit of a spread out there until the fish really key in on one specific color or bumper length or leader. I keep everything different. And so far, hasn't seemed to matter. It just seems more so that the fish just turn on, and all of a sudden they start chewing. So that's what I'm going to be doing here today, is getting all this stuff put together for the next couple of days out in the ocean. I did hear of a lot more Chinook caught yesterday. I got off the water a little bit early yesterday, so I hadn't heard other reports on that incoming tide in the river. But it sounds like there's a bunch of Chinook starting to show up, which means hopefully by the end of this week, man, it could be really good by the end of this week in the river. So that's what we're hoping for. All right, with that, I got some work to do. So I'm going to tie all these things up, and I'll let you guys know how these 6 spinners do tomorrow. And we'll have probably another ocean report. And then by the end of this week, we're going to be going into rod, reel, line, hook setup, how I'm putting everything all together, and get you guys all squared away for the rest of the season, because it is finally starting to look like the Chinook are starting to arrive. And hopefully the river will start to fish better as the tides get smaller. So here we go. Time for me to get back to work, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks. Later.